Happy Wednesday, everyone, and happy birthday to Maggie. Special, special girl in our lives. You're amazing. Cannot begin to explain how proud of you that we are and the woman that you're becoming as you grow up all these years. But we have a fun day to celebrate to make this day extra special for you and all of you who are joining us today and in classes. So what we have is a very, very cool little work set. Before we get to it though, let's talk about our warm-up. Our warm-up is going to take some time to get through some body movement and warm the shoulders up a little bit. So what we have is a plank lean for all three directions for 3 to 5 reps, PVC Prone Raise for 3 to 10 seconds, laying L-sit hold for 10 to 30 seconds, laying toe touch for 20 seconds, and a tuck hollow with extension for 20 seconds. So a lot of core work and a lot of heating up with the hamstrings. After that, we're going to open up the hips with a bridge hold for 10 to 20 seconds. I should say 10 to 30 seconds, because that's what I have there. Anywhere from 1 to 3 rounds to take this down. Afterwards, we're going to work on a little bit of finer tuning of some skills that we're going to need in the work set. So we have our humeral glide to knee push-up for 3 to 5 reps, crab extension for 5 to 10 to help open up the chest and the hips, and a narrow squat for 3 to 5 at a 3-1-3, and some in-out hops for 20 seconds at whatever pace you'd like to go, just to wake up the ankles, get those legs going. 2 to 3 rounds there, and then I would suggest a little practice round of a few different things, or just the flow, because this workout is all about flow. To celebrate Maggie's birthday, what we're going to do is a workout called Marguerita. It's a classic work set. It's kind of strange, but it's not for time. It's about movement and just playing with movement and getting into this flow of this work set. So what we have is 50 rounds. Oh yes, 50 rounds of 1 burpee, 1 push-up, 1 jumping jack, 1 sit-up, and 1 handstand, or kick up to handstand, or a plank to down dog. So we have lots of different options, and you just flow through that sequence, kind of melding it together, getting into a good body flow, and you'll hit that 50 times. So really cool little workout. Again, don't even set the clock today with this one. Just say, and begin, and start moving and flowing, and see where the body goes, and see how this workout takes you. Alright, so let's warm you up, let's have some fun, and we'll enjoy our day today. Alright, you guys, let's warm up a little bit. Let's take the arms big and tall up overhead. Let's just sort of shrug those shoulders. We're going to come back down with the arms, scratching the back and then reaching through the elbow. We'll come back up, big stretch. We'll scratch our back and then reach through the elbow. Come back up, big stretch. We'll bring those hands out to the T, turn them in, turn them out, turn them in, and turn them out, and turn them in, and out. Big stretch. Scratch your hands, or sorry, scratch your back with both hands. Ribs are in, glutes are tight. Reach with the elbow, and come down. Reach with the elbow, and back down. Reach, and down, and reach, and down, reach, and down, and reach, and down. Big stretch. A little shrug. Back down with those arms, forward fold. Let's touch those toes. Lock up the shins. We'll come down, frame a foot, step her back into that lizard, and lower that knee down, press the hip. Come back to center, press the hip, back to center, and press the hip, back to center. Press the legs straight, step back into your down dog, reaching those hips. Come back into your plank. We'll step the other foot up. Nice and square through those hips. Lock those legs. Lower the back knee. Press the hip. Come back to center. Press the hip. To center. And press the hip. And center. Straighten the leg. Step back into your down dog. Reach those hips. Come back into your plank. Tiptoe those feet up. We're going to roll ourselves all the way up. Big stretch. Big reach. Big reach. Good. Come back down. Let's get you guys ready to go. All right, pause the video if you'd like to do a little bit more rotation work. Anything else you know you need to take down, maybe some wrist work today, just because we already be on our hands quite a bit. Please pause the video, take that down. I'm going to walk you through this first phase of work. We're going to get you guys underway. All right, this first phase of work is going to start with our plank leans. So what I'm going to do is do the first set facing this way so you guys can see my lateral movement, and then I'll turn the other side so you can see the forward.
So first things first, though, we get set up in our good plank position. So my hands are under my shoulders. I'm going to pull my ribs and hips in, press the shoulders to the sky. I'm going to lean to the left, come back through, lean to the right, come back to center, make sure those shoulders are strong, and pull forward, and then press back. So again, taking the time to make sure our core, our rib and hips are pulled into that hollow, and we're actively protracting through the shoulders so we have that pressure. Imagine my hand is in between your shoulder blades, and you're pressing your shoulders up into my hand. So from the sides, you can see my body position when I pull forward. I'm going to get myself again tucked and pressing into that nice hollow. I lean to the left. I lean to the right, keeping my shoulders over my hands. And now I pull forward, not allowing my hips to sag. I keep my hips level as I come forward and then press back. And they stay at that same level the entire time. So I work through that plank lean, working through all those three directions to get things fired up and set. After that, we have a PVC Prone Raise. So we're going to lay on our stomach. We're going to get our hands out nice and straight to the front. Our eyes are going to be down towards the floor. I'm going to set it up from my feet up to my toes. So my toes come together. I press into the floor. I tuck and squeeze through my glutes and my pelvis. I press my armpits down and press my hands down. Now, maintaining all this tension, what I'm going to do is reach my arms forward and up, holding this tight, hollow position, working on opening up those shoulders, and then lower and relax. So then I reset again and work through that top to bottom, bottom to top kind of setup. So toes, glutes, ribs, hips, armpits, palms. Really taking the time to feel that engagement from toe to fingertip. Afterwards, I have some dumbbells set up here. You can use a couch, you can use a bar, you can use dumbbells, whatever you'd like. We're just going to use it as a little anchor. So I'm going to lay down, and I'm going to make sure that I'm far enough away from my dumbbells that I can just sort of tuck my fingers underneath, and I can use it as an anchor position. So my arms are straight. I have my fingertips underneath of those dumbbell handles. I'm going to press into the dumbbell so I feel my lats kick on. From here, I'm going to pull my feet up flat. I'm going to press my low back into the floor so I can feel my arms and my low back nice and tight. And then from here, I'll just pull my knees into my chest so I'm in this little tuck. So from here, it's like I'm doing a hang tuck. And now I'm going to extend up into my leg L. So I maintain this nice long position, toes together, feet right over top of the hips, active through my lats. My ribs and hips are pulling in so my low back is pressed, and I hold this position for 10 to 30 seconds. From there I can rest and I can remove my hands from the dumbbells, and then I'm going to set up my next exercise, which is going back into that L position. So I'm going to lift my legs up, two or single. All right, so if I'm going with a single, it's because my leg has a hard time extending. All right, single and double leg does not make it easier on the core. What it's going to do is allow you to get a straighter leg position. So I'm laying in that L. My arms reach towards my shoelaces. I'm squeezing, and I'm going to pull my ribs and hips together. I'm going to try and touch my shoelace, and come back down. I control all the way up and all the way back down in that engagement. So I'm pulling the abs together, and I'm releasing them slow so I can open up nice and steady. So I want to make sure that I'm controlling the entire movement. Please don't use momentum for this one. Really focus on that hard compression. That's where the gains come from, right there. All right, and that's where the benefits are going to come from. Is that nice tight compression. Don't worry about how high you get. Worry about the compression through the core. Our next exercise is that tuck hollow. So I'm going to give myself a nice long stretch. Just to reset my body, I'm going to pull my knees and shoulders together as I pull my ribs and hips in towards each other. Keeping this compression of shoulder to knee, I'm going to extend my legs as best I can, trying to straighten them, and then pull those knees into my shoulders, and then extend. Little pause on either end of the motion so that I can really own and control both sides of it. So the compression side, the hamstring mobility side, really take the time to explore both sides.
From there, my feet are gonna come down, and I'm gonna press into the floor, and I'm just gonna open my hips up. So I'm gonna squeeze my glutes, open up my hips a bit. I've spent the last 3 movements kind of compressing them. So I'm just gonna focus on squeezing and holding my shoulders and feet, taking the brunt of the load of my body, not through my neck and head. I'm just gonna hold this for 10 to 30 seconds, and then lower it down.
So just one hold through that, just allowing ourselves to open up the hips a bit after that nice little bit of compression. Quick recap for you guys. We have plank lean 3 directions, so side, side, forward, working that 3 to 5 times. PVC prone raise or prone shoulder raise with no towel or PVC pipe, just empty hand is fine. 3 reps of 10-second holds. Laying L-sit hold, using the couch, dumbbell, whatever you have access to help anchor your arms for 10 to 30 seconds into a laying toe touch for 20 seconds of just dynamic movement. Tuck hollow with extension, 20 seconds with dynamic movement. And then we finish off with 10 to 30 second bridge hold. So we're just opening up those hips. And you're gonna take that down 1 to 3 rounds, depending on how much time you have, what your body needs to do today to warm up and just get things fired up. So take the time, pause the video, work through that, get things going. I'm gonna walk you through that next phase of work and make sure you're comfortable before we move into Marguerita. It's gonna be a good day today, guys. Oh, I'm excited, it's coming. All right, so now, what we got for you guys? We got a few more finer skills. So we're gonna lay back on our stomach. We're gonna work through our humeral glide to knee push-up, because there's quite a few presses in this work set. So we're gonna get our hands underneath of our elbows. We're gonna grip the floor. We're gonna pull the shoulders forward. We're gonna pull them back. We're gonna pull the ribs and hips into that hollow, and I'm gonna press into that good push. From here, I'm gonna focus on lowering forward and down into that nice lower, continuing to keep that elbow stacked over my wrist and maintain position. So again, I pull the shoulders forward where I don't want them. I pull them back and set to where I do. I pull my ribs and hips in, press, maintaining that good core position, and then lower with control, maintaining the shoulders, maintaining that nice set position through the entire upper body as I lower forward and down, maintaining that good tripod at the bottom of my press. So take your time, really focus on those key points because they do help transform that push-up later on in the work set. We got 3 to 5 reps of that. Then we're gonna sit and we're gonna work on our crab extension. So our feet are gonna come like we're gonna do a bridge. My hands are gonna go just behind my body, fingers to the outside. I'm gonna get myself seated nice and tall, shoulders are back, and I'm gonna squeeze my glutes, lifting up, trying to get level if I can, and then lower back down. I squeeze and open, keeping the shoulders over top of the hands, knees over top of the heels, and I get that nice stacked position. Remembering with this movement that regardless of how high you get, it's going to help open up the shoulders and pecs, it's going to help open up the hips. Listen to that body as we lift. Your hips and shoulders are going to decide how high you get, but I don't want you to drive right through that edge too soon because we can overstretch those positions. So we want to ease into it, and I guarantee you by the end of the 5 to 10 reps and or the 2 to 3 rounds you use to warm this up, you'll be getting higher than when you first started. The first couple are very challenging, and it feels like it's like, oh, opening up the chest, all right? But take your time, ease in, feel that nice opening as it comes. After our crab extension, we're gonna stand up nice and tall. We're gonna work on some narrow squats just to wake up our ankles a bit. So our regular squat stance is about our hip to shoulder width. This can be anything inside that stance, all the way to right together, depending on where you're comfortable. So I'm gonna turn to the side so you can see my hip position. My feet are just inside my squat stance. I got about a 1.5 fist distance between my feet. But what we're gonna do is I'm gonna stand tall, take my hips to my heels. I'm gonna work on keeping that body upright, my knees tracking my toes, and I'm really focusing on opening up my ankles a little bit more in this squat. So I am gonna feel it more in the front of my shins. And that's okay because that's where I'm tight personally. So don't be surprised if you feel it there more so than anywhere else. So just listen to your body, go to that depth. We focus on our good squat mechanics, keeping the weight through the midfoot, nice flat foot contact, tall chest, and then we work that stand. So you're gonna work on 3 to 5 reps at a 3-1-3 tempo, just taking advantage and opening up those ankles and hips a little bit for our work set. After our narrow squat, we're gonna get those ankles popping a little bit more. We're gonna work some in-out hops or steps. So we're gonna start with our feet nice and set, and I'm gonna set the clock for 20 seconds, and we're just gonna hop it in and out, apart and together. So really, if I'm jumping apart, I'm really not jumping too much beyond my squat stance. I'm not trying to go way out here into a huge straddle. It's just more along the lines of a quick little in and out to feel that engagement through the feet and just get those legs kind of pumping and moving around a little bit. If you're not a jumper, you can work on the steps and you can work on the footwork side of things. You can take it as fast or as slow as you like, working on stepping in and out. Again, it's gonna warm the ankles up. It's gonna get those legs moving around, get everything flowing, get your heart rate up. I just did it for like 5 seconds and I can already feel my heart rate pumping a little bit more. So take your time with that, you guys. Feel it out, play with the jumps, feel the hops, do the steps, whatever you would like to take down today. Quick recap for that next little piece. We have a humeral glide to knee push-up for 3 to 5 reps, crab extension for 5 to 10, narrow squat for 3 to 5 at a 3-1-3 tempo, and some in-out hops for 20 seconds, just to get things fired up, opened up, and then we're gonna hit that for 2 to 3 rounds. After that, I'd like to see you maybe play with a couple of these movements in our warm-up, or sorry, in the work set, just to get kind of used to them and just make sure you're comfortable. We're gonna cover those momentarily, so pause the video, take down that last piece, get yourself ready, come join me for our last little push to the work set. So the movements in our workout today, Marguerita, are a burpee, a push-up, a jumping jack, a sit-up, and a handstand. So we have a few options to play with for this. I'm gonna run through the movements as individual pieces, and then I'm gonna go through it one time as a sequence that you can work on flowing through. So what we have for you guys is a burpee. So the burpee itself, we have multiple variations. I'm just gonna show you 3 different variations. I come down, my hands plant, I'm gonna jump my feet back, lower down to that push, pop myself up, get a little hop in there. Besides that, I can take it down, I can step back and lower, press up, and take it down, or I can step back and jump in. I can mix and match any of those different options if I'd like to, and see where it takes me. But the biggest thing we're focusing on is keeping that core tight, like in our humeral glide, and keeping that elbow stacked over the wrist as I lower down to the floor. So we want to make sure that we're keeping that same criteria for our humeral glide in our burpee. It's just a little bit faster, a little bit more dynamic. If you're not a burpeer and you like to do the squat thrust because that press is just a little bit too much right now, that's fine. You can work on the jump back, jump in. You can work on the jump back, step in. You can work on the step back, jump in. Or you can work on the step back, step in. So whatever you'd like to play with or a combination of those, please take that down. What we're looking for is that good strong plank. So unlike the burpee, we're not worrying about the elbow stacked over the wrist at the bottom because we're staying here in this position. So the wrist stays under the shoulder, but we stay in that nice tight hollow through the hips, through the glutes. So this whole midsection is tight, not sagging forward. So we want to make sure that we're nice and solid in that plank. After that, we do a push-up. So we have, again, a bunch of different variations of push-up on the floor. If you have continued to do the push-up on a bench, an ottoman, a chair, keep doing it. Just position yourself close to that piece so you can just flow right into it and work through that push-up. So with the floor options, I get myself set up in my good plank, shoulders over the hands, ribs and hips pulled in. I'm going to come forward and down, leading with my chest and pressing up. My other option, I'm going to lower down, same position, drop my knees, press and press. And then my last option, I stem through the plank, but I'm going to lower my knees, get set in that knee plank, and then maintain that good hollow as I work through that good push. Again, the same criteria apply. My arms are sitting at about a 45 degree. My wrist is stacked under the elbow. I'm keeping my core tight, so anytime I do my push-up, I'm leading with my chest, not my hips. My chest should be the thing that touches and then comes back up. We don't want to snake down.
So really focus on that tension. Pick the option that's going to allow you to maintain that position the best. After that, we have a jumping jack. So a jumping jack is pretty straightforward. I'm going to start with my feet together, and I'm going to step or jump to a straddle, and then jump together. Not that slow. So, without the pause, it looks like so. The width is up to you. We want to make sure we're jumping to a comfortable distance, and we want to get those arms as high as we can. In a perfect world, we get a little clap overhead. If we're lacking range, we're just going to take it as high as we can. Maybe not clapping, but taking it up as high as we can. If you're not a jumper, you can work on taking those feet out and stepping it out with those hands going overhead and stepping them back in, just to get that nice opening of the shoulder and coming back down and working that coordination a little bit. But again, with the jumping, if you're like, yeah, I don't really jump a lot, it doesn't have to be big. It can just be a little one and just work through that a little bit there. Okay, so a little bit of impact on the feet or step. Last but not least, we have two more movements. We have a sit-up and we have a handstand. So what we have for the sit-up today, I find works really well for most people, is the pike sit-up. And I'll explain why as we get going. The pike sit-up, we get our feet together, toes together. We lay down, we touch the floor, we come up, we touch the toes or as far down the thighs as we can, and I come back down again. So I touch, and allow myself to keep those legs straight and try and get as far down the body as I can. Remembering, like the crab extension, I might open up more and more as the workout progresses. I want to explore that range every single time. So take it to end range as best we can. As we warm up and you start to feel more range coming, take it there, explore it, play with it, all right? But make sure you're easing into it slowly. Last but not least, we have our handstand. So what we can do for our handstand today in Marguerita is we can do a plank to down dog. Right? So you'll come from your sit-up into your plank, and then you'll move into your down dog, back to your plank, and then you'll restart the round. Right? Or if you have space in the house, you can work on a kick up, come back down, or if you have a wall that has some space, you can work a kick up into the wall, and you can do the workout facing the wall with a little bit of space on either side, if you're comfortable with the kick-ups. But please keep that in mind. If you're comfortable with the kick-up, you have the wall, use it, kick up, hold the handstand for a beat to show control, come down. If you're comfortable doing it freestanding and you have the space at home, all right, do a kick up and come back down. You don't have to hold the handstand for any allotted time. And if you're like, I'm really not comfortable doing a handstand, plank to down dog. It's a nice option. It gets that shoulder open, gets you more vertical, and allows you to kind of play around with that movement set. All right. So as a quick recap, what we have for you guys is 50 rounds, 1 burpee, 1 push-up, 1 jumping jack, 1 sit-up, 1 handstand. So I'm going to take it down for you guys and show you kind of as a flow how it would look if you wanted to play with it with a down dog and or with a handstand kick-up. So what I'm going to go through is my burpee. So I come through, I do 1 burpee, I step down and step back into my plank, 1 push-up, step up, jumping jack. I like to do this as I get into my sit-up, just sort of sit down and roll back into my sit-up. I'm going to stand tall, get set, kick up practice, come back down. That'd be 1 round, okay? The other variation I have is burpee. Hop. I bring my hands down, push up, jumping jack, sit down for my sit-up. Yep. From here, transition into my plank, down dog, and then I'll start my round again. So what we want to play with is finding different ways of moving into that and flowing through exercise to exercise. So that would be 1 round of the plank to down dog variation instead of the handstand kick up variation. Okay? So put your movements in there. If you have the burpee, you're like, I do squat thrust. That's fine. Rock the squat thrust, hit it, move into your variation of push up, hit that jumping jack, the sit up, and then your handstand or the plank to down dog.
So play, have a good flow. Don't even set the clock today. Just take it down and have fun with this one. It's a good time. Maybe set up a little board that has some reps that you can keep track of where you're at for those, because it's hard to count sometimes with this one. But enjoy this one, you guys. We always love it around the gym. It's always fun just to get some body flow in there. So play, have fun. Happy birthday, Maggie. You're an amazing individual. Super stoked to see where life is going to take you. We love you. And I hope everyone enjoys this work set. Work for quality. Enjoy. We'll see you then. Bye, you guys.